What if you could still keep your day job while flipping mountain cabins and escaping ordinary? This week, we're talking to Eric and Kelli, who are doing just that. Let's go talk. I am thrilled today to be able to speak with Eric and Kelli. They have a very interesting way of escaping ordinary. I'll let them give their own introduction.
I'm Eric Tate. I guess escaping the ordinary is kind of different for me. So I still am the controller for a beverage company right now. But how I knew Will is from my last job working as the controller of Stadler. And they made trains. And this is kind of, I guess, my new hobby that I've taken on. I wouldn't call myself a cabin flipper, but I would say that I do like to be up in the mountains, and this is kind of my way of expressing my artistry, I guess. I like to make things better. This is one way to do so, and I think it's really rewarding for me, so yeah.
Perfect.
My name is Kelli, and I work at Stadler in the procurement department. That's how I met Will. And Eric and I have been married for 18 years, and ever since we were young, we would watch house flipping shows, and we always wanted to flip actual houses. We never did that, but we did always start making our house better by doing projects on our own. We built our own house, and I thought Eric would no longer want to do projects all the time. I thought, this house is new, what's he going to do? But that is something in him that he always wants to do. He always wants a project. Mm-hmm. And so then he worked on our house, kind of that was a dead end once everything was done. So now we've gone on to cabins. It gets to be something we enjoy, and we work on it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So as you were scaling up to enter that first cabin, I'm curious, you mentioned building your own home, kind of, and Eric loving the hands-on projects. Mm-hmm. Eric mentioned loving the mountains. Was the transition to a cabin, did that feel natural and logical, or was there a moment of hesitation? Do we really want to dive into such a big project? Do we really want to commit ourselves to so many weekends and so many evenings of work?
When we bought our first cabin, we didn't buy it with the intention of flipping or anything like that. We bought it to hold on to it. Mm-hmm. But you had such a great time that then we decided to sell it and try again. So I don't know that we went in it thinking, can we do this? We went into it just wanting a cabin and working on it. Of being able to afford the cabin we found, but we'd have to make it nicer by doing things ourselves.
Yeah, so before VRBO and Airbnb was even really a thing, we were renting cabins and staying in them, and we just loved doing that. Our friend had a cabin in Hanna, Utah, which we went up there a couple times and thought, oh, this would be really nice to have one. First time we bought one was in 2021. The interest rates were very low. It was like a good time to buy. It seemed like this cabin just popped up on KSL, and I just, we should go look at that. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, we just kind of went out there on some random day and looked at this place. It was totally overgrown. It was very rough shape, but there were still a lot of buyers at the time. So we made our first offer on it and just decided, let's go for it and try to get this place, and we'll keep it as our own. That's kind of how it started.
You mentioned the first cabin was pretty overgrown. When you see that, or when you saw this cabin initially and how much work it needed, does that excite you, or does that intimidate you to realize, wow, this is a major project?
And none of that really scares me as far as being overgrown or too much work.
It excites you.
Well, it's about the only way you can afford something. If it's all nice and done, it's going to be difficult to buy because they're just going to want a premium for it. So to me, I have the capability, so it's a good way to get in on a cabin. It's probably the only way for a lot of people is to buy something that they need to work on and make it better. So you can get it at a cheaper price, and maybe your sweat equity will pay off.
Interesting. You originally got into this intending to buy and hold, and we talked about how you aren't necessarily intimidated at coming into a major project.
Mm-hmm. With the landscaping, right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, the first cabin was in really bad shape, like the plumbing was terrible, and we we bought it in maybe September as well. And so a couple months later, we enjoyed it, and we were trying to get access to the basement. It actually had no access from the main level to the basement level. And I went up there one time, and it had froze over the weekend, and a pipe had burst.
Oh no.
And at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, I guess we need to fix the plumbing so this doesn't happen all the time. And that kind of led into us hiring a contractor that came up there and just helped us basically remodel the whole place. So he kind of oversaw another guy that helped him out. And so we just kept on feeding the materials and all that. And the scope just kind of crept up from there.
Well, our plan is to do a little here and there, but then Eric always says, well, while everything's torn apart, I mean, it makes sense. Why not just do it all then to,
Right. It's hard to replace just a little bit of plumbing when everything else is at risk too. So,
yeah.
So then we just kind of went from there, and it kind of bloomed up, and then all of a sudden we have a really nice cabin. And yeah, we saw the opportunity at that point and sold it. So
at the end of the first cabin, after you'd put your sweat equity into it and you intended to own it and make memories there, was it hard to actually list it for sale?
Oh, I was devastated.
Yes, it was.
I wanted to have it in our family forever. I was so sad. And then coming into this one, I'm like, okay, just tell myself we're not going to have it. I think that was the problem. We bought the other one with the intention of keeping it. Yep. And then selling it was sad for the girls and I. And
I really liked it too. It was farther away though. I mean, it was harder to get to. And my daughters had just entered an age where they were having basketball every weekend or wanted to hang out with friends. So yeah, it was a little bit harder to drive 2 hours one way to get there. So we decided to sell it. This one, we kind of saw the opportunity, and it had a lot of good qualities, I'd say, to make it what I thought was going to be valuable. Square footage size, the lot, the location was really close to the Salt Lake Valley. So I like that.
So as you're considering one of these projects, what kind of preparation are you doing beforehand to understand what sort of cabin do I want to get into? Are you looking at upfront pricing? Are you looking at the scope of the work that needs to be done? Are you limiting yourself to a certain period of time? I want to be able to get it done within this period of time. What are your metrics for selecting a cabin?
I guess just that I can add value to it, and the price is decent enough where the rehab cost, when you add that to the purchase price, is going to be lower than the value at the end. That's really all I look for. This one is kind of outside of the scope that I would normally think. It's quite big and quite expensive to start. The rehab costs were high, and it puts you in an area where there's less buyers. So it's maybe why it's sat on the market for 3 months now. So the economy, I think, has a little bit to do with it as well. The interest rates are high. It's kind of an uncertain time for a lot of people, and they're not willing to shell out a ton of money for a second home.
Yes. That's an interesting challenge, especially when you're talking about a major project that's going to take you a year. When you're taking a risk up front to purchase a cabin, seeing there's an opportunity here, I can buy it at a lower price, I can rehab it. I foresee it having more than that value, so I can turn around and make a profit on it. But you're also forecasting into the future and saying, what's the economy going to be like? What's the appetite of the consumer to have a second home? What makes you courageous enough to take that risk of saying, I assume I can resell this 1 year in the future?
No risk, no reward.
Naivety, I don't know. Probably that. I feel like if we would have been done with this cabin last year, it would have already sold. There
was several cabins that hit the market last year at this time, and all of them sold within 30 days, similar price range.
Yeah, I really think the market has changed considerably from last year. So last year it seemed like everything was pretty good and it was going to continue that way. So that's what kind of gave us the hope that we could continue and take this cabin project under our arms. So
we even listed it sooner than we were anticipating because of what the economy was doing and everything. And hoping before people became scared and that we could sell it, but here we are.
What type of buyer generally is interested in purchasing a cabin like this? What's the avatar of the person who you're trying to rehab this to orient around that person?
So this one, I would say, because of the size and the number of bedrooms and the play areas that we've created, I would say it's someone probably with grandkids, or a large family because it has 5 bedrooms. I mean, that's kind of what we've seen too, as far as the people that have come and look at it, the showings that we've had. They're probably older than 50, and the people that came last week were, brought their grandkids to see it.
Yeah, that whole family.
So I mean, I think that's kind of the thing with the cabin this size, is you want to be able to invite your whole family up, and maybe it's a bigger family. There's plenty of sleeping areas for everyone, plenty of play areas, outside areas. So I think that's our target demographic.
With understanding your target demographic, are you able to better select your project up front and take steps that helps it look more attractive to that buyer? Are you being that thoughtful about it from an upfront standpoint, or are you really just chasing the cabin that's more interesting to you?
I think it's more the cabin that's interesting to me.
Okay.
And then we'll tailor it from there.
Yeah, the cabin, we would have fun rehabbing and spending time out.
Yeah.
That's probably what we look at most.
And I would say there's probably, I mean, like I said, the price of this cabin is just a little bit higher, so there would be less people with that kind of liquid cash for, and that's maybe to the detriment. I'd say if you really wanted to do cabin flipping, you should probably stick around a lower price point at the end, to attract more buyers.
That's interesting.
Those are very hard to find, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little cabins that you can buy.
Yeah,
they're like 1 or 2 bedroom, and that's just less appetizing for us, because then we can't have friends and family up ourselves. Doing the work.
There's actually a cabin for sale nearby that is 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and it needs work. And that one, I mean, just looking at that, thinking if somebody wanted to go in and fix that up and make it their own, it's going to be then too expensive for what you're getting.
Okay. Quite often, people who have a desire to do something outside of the ordinary, I think they're quite often held back because of financial concerns. They feel an obligation to a paycheck and don't necessarily feel like they have cash to buy a cabin, to flip it, or engage in some other activities. How were you able to come up with the initial money to be able to buy your cabin? Did you have savings, or did you use debt? What kind of path did you take, and how can that encourage or incentivize others to see that there are ways to overcome the financial barriers?
Yeah, we didn't have the type of savings that would have allowed us to buy this cabin and put the money in to fix it up. I mean, we used a home equity line of credit to get there. The last, we've lived in our house for 13 years, so we've had, a bit of equity in our house, and so we're able to tap into that to fund this project. So that's kind of how we've done it.
Were you able to make the finances work on the first cabin you sold? Were you able to make a profit on it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, looking back at your first cabin, do you value more the profit you made from it now, hindsight, or do you value the memory and the experience of actually buying something that's kind of old and run down and turning it into something beautiful?
I mean, for me, I would say the experience. I mean, I really love having a cabin. I think it's a great thing for families to have. Like, if you're able to get out and, every weekend and you go kind of take a mini vacation. It's not really a vacation because you always have work up here, but at least you're away from the place where you normally reside,
Yeah.
So
we have created some rather interesting memories at these cabins, which is sometimes they're not fun in the moment, but looking back, they're pretty hilarious. So that's something I think our girls will always remember. Also, it's teaching them the value of hard work. Like, both of our girls helped tile bathrooms and things like that. So they have good memories associated with it, and they have bad memories.
Yep. What kind of profit are you able to turn from a cabin? Are you able to share some hard numbers or percentages even of cost in versus sell out?
I mean, I think our goal is to make like a 10% margin at the end of the day. So
it all depends on how much.
Yeah.
If you're over design, or you can't.
there's a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, some of it, I think we got a little bit lucky with the market timing on the last one. So maybe that wasn't the best example of how things can go. I feel like the market kind of went really high, and so anybody could have made money. I mean, if you just did nothing, you could probably still make money. On this one, I think it's due to timing and everything else. We may not hit that similar number. So,
Might not make money.
yeah, we might not make money at all. It just depends.
Yeah.
This might be our long-term cabin.
Yeah.
No more flipping at all.
All right. Yes. So it just depends. I mean, it's risky, and that's
Yes.
yeah. I wouldn't say if you can't risk the money, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. So having a stable financial foundation is good. And I think what I'm hearing from you too is you're okay with the risk because you're also gaining those family experiences and those family memories. So for you, it's almost comparable to going to Disney World. You're spending money in exchange for an experience, and hopefully it turns to be a profitable expenditure of money. But worst case scenario, if it doesn't, you aren't financially destitute, and you have the positive memories.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like taking your family to Disney World, except you have maybe a 1 in 2 chance that you're going to get your money back.
Okay.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it feels to me. I don't think we're going to lose money. I guess that's possible. I mean, if you look back at like 2008, people lost money by investing in things like this. And so you could lose money, and that could very well be possible too. But the way things are going, I don't think that's a real possibility at this point. So I feel like you get the experience, you get to hang out in a place like this for a year or longer. I mean, kind of now for longer than a year. So I feel like it's a good experience for the family.
Absolutely. And I think one of the valuable approaches that you're using here with cabin flipping is if the market does become difficult to sell into, like you're saying, you just hold on to the cabin until the market comes back, right?
It could be a while. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
So you have to be able to float that, and the current interest rates, I mean, it's a little bit more difficult. I'd
Yes.
say. So
There is some need to not go into this kind of thing without some kind of financial stability in your life, right? Both of you are full-time employees. Do you think that for somebody who's interested in doing something on the side like cabin flipping, what is some of your advice that you can give to them that maybe encourages them to recognize that, yes, I'm busy during my normal working hours, but I can still pursue my hobbies or my cabin flipping by being willing to work weekends or work evenings or take vacation time? What kind of motivation or encouragement can you give to those kind of people?
You have to be highly motivated. I mean, the longer you hold on to it, if you're wanting to flip it, the more it costs. So, if you're tired from your work week, let's not go up there. I mean, that's time that you could be working on it, and you can't do that. And sometimes it's not easy work. It's digging a trench or
cutting down trees or whatever, you're covered in sawdust. I mean, you have to be able to want to do that on your weekends rather than just watch Netflix or something like that. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do, but
it can get hard too. You're up here and the wildlife's walking by and you want to just sit out and have your morning coffee, but time is money.
Yep.
You just have to get down. You have to realize that comes first, and then you can enjoy it later.
Yeah.
Advice for people, I don't know. I'm not really an advice giver, but yeah, you just have to find something you like and something that you feel could be profitable. Like if you like land, like if you're really into researching land, like I guess you're getting into, then maybe that's where you start, and you just spend a lot of your time trying to find good deals that you can work on.
If you're interested in remodeling or something like that, maybe start small at your home. If you haven't done projects at your house, see how those go. And see if you can remodel your bathroom. Watch YouTube for videos, because we've done that before. How do you fix something? If you can't do things like that in your own house, then this might be too much.
Yeah. You mentioned YouTube and using that as a resource to help you understand how to fix something, how to do something. What was maybe the biggest unexpected challenge, either in this cabin or in the previous cabin, and how did you overcome that challenge?
I mean, we have used YouTube, or I have used YouTube for like, how do I do this? I come into something where, maybe there's an old pipe that I'm trying to connect with, and this house had polybutylene lines, which are really old. They're from the 80s. And so I had to try to figure out how to connect that to new PEX piping. And so YouTube became a resource where I have, how do I do that? What's the right part that I need? And so I use that for that. I can't think of like the biggest thing for this cabin that was a hard thing to get over.
We had water damage, so finding water is such a hard thing to deal with. Finding the source.
We had rivers come out.
A couple times to check, figure out where it was, because we think, okay, we fixed it, and then next time it rained. And you don't want to do all this work and it looks beautiful and then have it damage what you just did. So finding root causes of things can sometimes be difficult.
Sometimes calling in the experts is a good way to do it too. I mean,
Yes.
having someone coming out that knows what they're doing, check the roof for leaks for one. I mean, that's something we did, and they come up and yes, it costs money, but at least it's fixed, and then the rest of your project doesn't go down the toilet.
But then you got up there too.
Yeah, I got up there. Wait, that didn't really work. So I think you missed a spot. So yeah, I found that too. Sometimes you have to do that. I feel like too. You just have to be able to. Yeah, you have eyes too. You can see where water's falling in. So
Yep.
sometimes you have to do things yourself as well.
That advice you just gave, Kelly, I like that. How you said you need to figure out where the water's coming from first, so that you don't bother to put effort into repainting or rechinking or whatever else. You want to fix the water damage first and then move on. So it takes some skill and some experience to think, okay, what's the root cause here? Let's fix that first and then progress on to the aesthetics.
Nothing's more disheartening than fixing it and then having it get damaged again. You're spending twice the money for something that could have been resolved
Yeah.
in the beginning before you remodeled it.
Yes.
So one interesting thing that we talked about before cameras, I was shocked to see the amount of furniture you have here. I'm a little curious on what makes you feel like it's worth bringing the furniture up here.
It's like staging, I feel like. So people have a hard time visualizing like what a space is supposed to look like without furniture. And so, I mean, we're going to use this during the time we're here. So we figure we might as well put furniture in it. We're in our beds and everything else, the couches that we're sitting on. And that just helps a buyer visualize how this space is supposed to look. So,
But I think mostly cabins, people just bring, pieces here and there and put it up in their cabin. And it's not as aesthetically pleasing as just designing the whole place. That is actually my favorite part.
Really?
Is getting to decorate and design the space to make it feel welcoming. Lots of cabins, I think, are missing just the cohesive feel.
It sounds to me like your value add is not just in repairing the water leak, but your value add is also helping the person who maybe doesn't have the creativity to walk in the space and be able to visualize themselves how the couches look and what the color scheme is, but you're essentially offering to them, here's a fully decorated cabin that looks very presentable. You can buy it from us and bring your friends up next weekend.
yes, exactly. And unless you have a cabin, then you have to buy all new furniture for a 3,000 square foot house. I mean, it's
a lot to haul up.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and, if the buyer is older, hauling all that stuff up here and trying to arrange it all, it's a little bit difficult for them. So I feel like this is money well spent. I mean, it does cost money. We try to find ways to make that cheaper. I mean, there's a lot of people that do sell cabin furniture. They sell their cabin and then they have all this leftover stuff that they need to sell. So we've done that before where we go to estate sales where they're selling off a whole bunch of cabin furniture, and we bought a lot of it. So
I'm curious also, through the project, what kind of records are you keeping to understand where your expenses are? And are you attempting to track the furniture expenses and make sure that in the end your sell price is profit on top of your all included expenses, I assume, right?
yeah, so I mean, I'm an accountant by trade.
It's down to the bedding, how much bedding cost, how much
Really? Okay.
kitchen stuff costs. I mean, he's very good at tracking how much is spent on everything.
Would you say that's required for somebody to succeed as a cabin flipper?
Absolutely. You have to know your costs and your expenses on any sort of project. I mean, if you don't know your costs, you don't know how much to sell it for, that you need to make the profit. So, and not only for that, you have tax records that you need to keep. The IRS is the other day going to want to know that how much money you made, or if you didn't make money, you need to substantiate that. So we keep an Excel spreadsheet, keep track of what we spent on the cabin, how many trips we've made up here, deduct your mileage on your car and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Just any sort of expenses that you've made. You buy a light bulb, or you have to keep track of that kind of thing. So that is part of your cost.
And historically, like if you're looking back at the cabins, if you're wanting to do this for a long time, you can say, okay, we spent X amount on doors on our first cabin, and now look how much the price has gone up. You could, you keep track of windows and what they cost, or maybe we shouldn't go with this style.
Yeah.
It's nice to have all that data.
So we're obviously speculating here about the future, but when you do sell this cabin and when you start looking for your next, will you attempt to use some of that back data that you have to forecast what future costs would be and try to land it at a price you think you can sell at for what the presumed market would pay in the future?
Yes,
It would be a smart thing to do.
Yeah. When I estimated how much this would cost to remodel, I was off by a good amount of money, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
But he's in a little worse shape than he.
Yeah.
When we were driving home or something one time, and he's all, "Oh, I think this was in a worse space than I thought it was."
Right.
Nice. Do you think?
It was a little bit of a catfish situation until I understand. But
We weren't anticipating checking the windows. And
right. But sometimes you get in these things and you're like, this can't stay if we're trying to sell it at this certain price, and a buyer is not going to allow this to be like this. And so, some of those decisions cost you $10,000 that you weren't expecting.
Wow.
So you just have to do those kind of things, whether it works in the plan or not, to get your sale price where it needs to be.
And maybe if you overspend somewhere else that you weren't anticipating, you can say, okay, well, where can we save money on what's left to be done?
Yeah. It feels to me like this conversation, as well as past Escaping Ordinary conversations I've had, I feel like there's a through line of, in order to kind of escape ordinary, you need to have something you're interested in. You're clearly passionate about cabins, hands-on projects, being in the mountains, spending time with your daughter, spending time as a family. So you need to be passionate about it. But you also need sufficient self-confidence that you're willing to say, yes, I understand this is a risk. I don't know exactly how big the project's going to be and exactly how much I'm going to spend, and I'm not sure if the buyer's going to exist for this product a year from now, or will I have to hold it 18 months or 2 years or however long. But having the self-confidence to say, I can figure it out, right? I can get into it, figure out how bad the damage is. I can make the determination to, let's go ahead and do the windows, even though the windows weren't on the budget for this house. Let's do it anyway. We will figure it out. That's a trend I'm seeing through these conversations.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of like if you're good at a job and you want to do the same thing at another place. Well, I've done it at the last place, and so I feel like I have the necessary skills and abilities to do it at the new job. It's kind of like that. So once you've done it once, I feel like that's what gives you the confidence to take it to the next project that you take on.
Yeah. That confidence, I think, is certainly something that hopefully we're building in this community as we're interviewing impressive people like Eric and Kelli, so we can see their unique ways of how they're getting out of their ordinary life and having their mountain experience that they want to have, that maybe their normal employee job wouldn't have allowed them to sustain. Mm-hmm. So as we start to wrap up here, I'm going to put Eric on the spot here, saying he is specifically not an advice kind of person, but I'm going to ask you anyway, what advice would both of you give to somebody who is on that cusp? They're feeling the passion to want to do their own mountain cabin flipping project or some other idea they're passionate about, but they haven't quite been willing to to take that leap? What would you recommend to them as a checklist for them to give themselves some assurance of, I'm ready to dive in and try this project?
If you're married, make sure you're in a really good spot in your marriage and you get along, because it will put pressure for sure on your relationship. Making decisions, like if one wants to make a decision without the other, or maybe if you're just doing it with a friend or something, I would just make sure that that relationship is really strong.
You have to be on the same page with your spouse for sure. So, and that can include like maybe not missing family outings on the weekend because you need to get stuff done up here. I mean, that happens. And if that's going to be an issue, then I would say it's probably not for you. Also, I would relate it to some like gambling. If you go gambling, you don't want to risk more than you're willing to lose. Like if you're going to use all of your savings or whatever to do something like this and it will devastate you financially, it's probably not for you either. For us on this, if we don't sell it and if we lose, a little bit of money, I mean, that's a risk we're willing to take, but it's not going to financially devastate us. And I wouldn't get into a situation where that would be the case. So
there's a lot of discussions before we buy a property.
And we look at many properties before making the snap decision to buy one of these, because I wouldn't get into that situation. So I would say do your research. Yeah, even when you do your research, you can be wrong. I mean, I was wrong on how much this place would cost, so... but at the end of the day, you want to have enough profit margin to be able to cover any deficiencies in your estimations.
That is prudent advice. Overestimate what the downside is, right?
And are you okay with the downside? You have to really be able to say, yes, that would be okay.
Eric and Kelli, thank you very much. This has been a very interesting conversation. It's been what's been eye-opening to me is that your escaping ordinary project doesn't have to be strictly financially motivated. It can be a concurrent quality of life motivation and a financial positive outcome as a side benefit.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good way to explain it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing your cabin flipping experience with us. Remember, ordinary is optional. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.